Hi guys, how's it going? TRX Traveller Adam here. In this video we're going to look at some variations of squats with the band. There's a few different variations you can do with the band. The most one which I see people doing is quite simply putting it over themselves, putting it around and just going for it, really gunning for squats. And that's absolutely fine. I think there's a time and a place for that. If you're going for high rep ranges, you're wanting to get a bit of a cardiovascular sort of work in, you want to sweat a bit, perhaps towards the end of a workout or something like that. But what we're going to go through today is some real intention and isolation, and we're going to look at lower end of the squats, between 8 and maybe 12 reps. We're going to look at really how to isolate and really look at how to work specific areas of the leg. So depending on what the plan calls for, this is how you would incorporate that specific type of squat. So the first one is just a general squat. So as with all squats, get the band under your feet and over your shoulders. I always like to kind of put it not too far under my heels, but just enough further back so it's not going to slip out either way. Sometimes if you put it too much in the middle, it kind of feels uncomfortable. Even though you're wearing trainers, it kind of puts you off a little bit. So get the band over. You want, for these ones, this is just a normal standard squat, how to make the most out of a band with a standard squat. So you just want your feet slightly pointing out, shoulder width slightly pointing out. Get the band stuck down, put it over your head, get it comfortable behind your neck, and that's all we'll have to start with. Now, what I want you to focus on, too many people when they squat, they just drop with gravity. So that's just me going like this. That's not what we want. We want control, technique, and most of all want safety. So what I want you to always think about is whenever I'm going up or down, a muscle should be contracting. When I'm going down, my hamstrings and glutes should be contracting and they should be pulling me down. So if I go down now, what I'm doing is I'm imagining there's a big ball behind my hamstrings and my glutes. I'll turn a bit side on so this is a bit better to see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine I'm trying to grip the big ball, the big stability ball, and I'm pulling myself down. So right now I'm tensing my hamstrings and I'm pulling myself right down. And then as I come up, I'm going to contract my quads. So right now, I'm tensing my hamstrings and I'm contracting my quads now, and I'm exploding up. And at the top here, when I come up, I'm squeezing my quads as hard as I can. So right up to the top here, squeeze, and I'm going back down. Now the tempo we're going to go for is 4 seconds down, no pause, 1 second up, no pause, 4 seconds down. So it's essentially 4 down, 1 up. And we're not going to rest too much either end because we don't want to give the muscle a chance to relax. We want to keep a constant tension on it because that's what isolates it, and that's intention. So in practice, if I turn this side this way, okay, feet shoulder width apart, and I'm contracting my glutes, I'm contracting my hamstrings, it's pulling me down, explode up and down for 1, 2, 3, 4, explode up and down for 1, 2, 3, 4, explode up. And when I mean explode, I am squeezing as hard as I can my quadriceps here, as hard as I can. And when I'm at the bottom, as I'm going down, I'm squeezing my hamstrings and glutes as hard as I can to pull me down. So no muscle is resting. We're not just using gravity to bounce here. Now, you might think, well, aren't we losing tension as we're going down on the quads, especially at the bottom if we sit there? No, because as we're going down, even though you're contracting, there's still an eccentric load on the quads as you're going down. When you get to the bottom and you're contracting, and your hamstring is contracting as hard as it can, it's lengthening the quad. So this is an even better benefit because we're taking the quadriceps through a full range of motion from stretch position at the bottom because we're contracting the hamstrings and the glutes, which pull the quadricep muscle to then contract it as we explode up to a contracted state. So that's a full active range of motion you're taking it through. Not just a passive range, a full active range of motion. And it's technique, it's good technique. And we're trying to go all the way to the bottom, and we're really activating the hamstrings and squeezing them in the glutes at the bottom so we know they're contracting. And when one muscle contracts, just like when the tricep contracts, bicep lengthens. Bicep contracts, tricep lengthens. That's how we can take the quadriceps through a full range of motion. So for a standard squat, that's all it is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, down, squeeze and explode up and squeeze, and 1, 2, 3, 4, down, explode up and squeeze. Now the planner in some cases might tell you to stay at the top for a second and just get that extra squeeze, which is really good practice for mind to muscle. You know, really squeezing as hard as you can before you go back down. But most of the time a tempo of 4 seconds down, 1 second up is great, but of course this all depends on the plan. A plan might say you need 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up. It's all about the periodization of the plan and how it progresses. So that's your first standard squat. Now another one which I absolutely love is really targeting the outer quadriceps here. And again, this is intentions. This is mind to muscle intention. And to target the outer quads, it's the same principle, except this is a little bit more advanced. You're going to constantly push your feet outwards, constantly. So as you go down, you're pushing your feet outwards. As you come up, you're pushing your feet outwards. You never stop trying to push your feet outwards against the floor. And what that does is it applies all of the tension, not all the tension, but most of the load, most of the tension on the outer quads, and it exhausts them. 6 or 7 of these and I'm knackered. So as you're going down, I'm pushing my feet out. I'm still thinking about engaging my hamstrings and still thinking about that, but depending on your level, if you're quite new to bands, I would advise you just to purely focus on pushing your legs out if the plan calls for you to specifically target your outer quads. So as you go down, push out, push out, push out, push out, explode up, push out, go down, 1, 2, 3, 4, explode up, keep pushing out. If you want to take it a little bit more advanced, try pushing out and on the way down, thinking about contracting these as well, your hamstrings and your glutes. That's quite a lot to think about if this is a new technique for you, so if it is, don't worry about that, just focus on pushing your feet outwards constantly to constantly target the outer quads, yeah? So that's the second way we can isolate. Now, I'm sweating already. Now, a third way we can change up the squat is by taking a bit of a wider stance. So I'm going to have to reposition this. If we take a wider stance, we can incorporate more of the hamstrings and the glutes as we come up, and less emphasis on the quads. So what I then suggest for a wide one, and again, same principle, as we're going down, we're thinking about contracting and pulling myself down, pulling my hamstrings down, nice wide legs, always driving the knees outwards. Now instead of contracting my quads to come up this time, I'm contracting, I'm thinking about, again, contracting my glutes and my hamstrings. So as I come up, I'm squeezing them and I'm pushing up. And it kind of makes you automatically generate a little thrust forward at the top, which is great. So here, the intention is to really work the hamstrings and glutes more. So I'm contracting down for 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm exploding up. And as I'm exploding up, I'm squeezing my glutes as hard as I can. Really good booty builder, this, really good. So down for 1, 2, 3, 4, squeeze up. And down for 1, 2, 3, 4, and squeeze up. So just power all in the glutes. As you're going down, hamstrings and glutes contracting down. Same principle. Now there's no harm if you then want to target the quads in a slightly different angle. You could always go down contracting the glutes and hamstrings, and you could think, right, I want to focus on targeting my quads, so I'm engaging my quads and I'm contracting my quads up. And you'll probably feel it a lot more in the teardrop muscle right here. So again, rather than targeting the outer quad, because it's a bit difficult right now to push our feet out, just by focusing on contracting the quads to come up, we can then target the front. So different variations and different ways with a squat, just a few different ones to target different aspects. As you can see, I'm shattered, I'm sweating, I'm knackered, just off doing them simple ones. So it's because we're really focusing on engaging the muscles. We're not just doing this. You know, lots of people can do this, but where's the control? Where's the intention? Where's the thought of the muscle you want to isolate? So whatever your plan calls for, whatever program you're following, have a look and see what it specifies. If it specifies just for normal squats, you know you've got just your shoulder width, you know you're focusing on contracting your hamstrings and pulling yourself down to then explode up. If it calls for outer quad focus, you know you're pushing your feet outwards constantly as you're going down and up. And if it calls for wide squat with glute focus, you know you're then going wide and you're exploding up and squeezing your glutes and your hams. Okay. So that's it. That's some variations of a squat and how to do them with a band. Any questions, comments, please leave them below. You can find links to my programs and more about me below as well. Thanks very much for watching.